So folks, welcome to almost like what, third week? Yeah, third week of XML and JSON class today. Let's review back what we did in the past. I'm going to randomly ask you questions. Don't think I'm picking on you. And just respond whatever you can, whatever you understood. And we can kind of review that answer and learn best from it. So, Shanjida, what is a sprint?
Sprint is a 2-week plan that we get some feature with what we're going to do those 2 weeks. Like instead of getting all other feature and at the same time we make it shorter, like to get the work done easily. And we try to finish that in 2 weeks. We do the stand-up meeting for that, and at the end also we plan that what we did well, what did not went well, those kind of things.
Very nice. You have given me more than I needed on the stand-up meetings and so forth. Just be ready that and you can just stop right here. Just 2 weeks,
Okay.
2 weeks plan to complete, features selected. And then if they ask you to elaborate more, then go in. But be prepared. Right after you hear this question sprint, he might try to ask you questions about the meetings that goes inside. Now, he might just say, what are sprint ceremonies, or what are sprint rituals, or what are sprint meetings? Or he could just dive straight into asking you a specific question, and that goes to Parvin. What is retrospective? You all can unmute yourself right now because it's the Q&A. So if you don't have much background noise, you can keep yourself unmuted so you can respond. Parvin, did you want to answer that one? Do you want to try that? What is a retrospective?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Retrospective is where you is it like store all the task, I guess.
That'll
It's
be
a
the backlog.
1 hour end of meeting,
I know. Okay.
end of sprint meeting.
Okay, Sanjita, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, that's like in the sprint end of the sorry, end of 2 weeks. It's a 1 hour meeting that we usually discuss about what went well, what did not what did not went well, or what can what we can do next to get those fix it, like how to improve those things in next sprint.
Very nice. So what went well?
Okay. Retrospective. Okay.
Maybe what did not go well, and see what can be done to improve next sprint.
Well, that means this is the review of the particular task after the at the end of the time frame, and some suggestion to improve that one. Is it like that?
Right.
Yes.
Right. And then they could ask you, what are some of what are the sprint meetings? What are some of the sprint meetings? And in here, you just list all of them. So how about Stanley? What are all the sprint meetings?
The sprint, all the meetings like sprint planning, then daily stand-up, then grooming, and review or demo, and then the last one is a retrospective.
Very nice. Yeah,
It's like it's like the setup they're gonna give who the task, like who gonna do what, right? In this sprint meeting, in those 2 weeks.
Yes, but each meeting has its own fundamentals, own characteristics, and own purpose. For example, sprint planning is where you do the planning. I mean, come on, the name says it all, right? And these names are made exactly same way. I mean, the reason they call it sprint planning is this is where you plan how many stories, who gets what, and is 2 weeks enough? How much complexities these stories hold, and are we going to be able to complete all this? So you set your boundaries. You pull the task that you are capable of doing, assign it to everybody, and you continue. And then every day in stand up, you go in and you assess that. Let me get my Epic pen out. You assess whether you're progressing the way you're supposed to or not. I don't want to answer the whole thing. I've already talked like 4 hours on this, but how about I ask you, Raju, what is grooming? Raju, you're probably muted. What is sprint grooming?
Maybe to give the update information of what has been done already or how to do it well.
No, that will be your retrospective. Retro. Always think of this word like an English word. Retro, you might hear this word a lot. That retrofit. You go backward and try to fit it. It's like classic and old, and you're looking back. So retro means looking back or going back or past. So when you hear the word retro, you think of going back into your sprint. So sprint already happened, going back. And perspective comes from the word perspective. So it's kind of like a mixture of retro plus perspective. And together it's retrospective. Perspective is what is your opinion on how things are. So you're going back into your sprint and asserting how you felt, and that's where you're going to analyze yourself. You find faults, you find what you did good, and then you try to assert what could be done next sprint to make things better. So if you can kind of figure those out, and then you got this grooming, and I would like to think you're probably going to be driving by like PetSmart, and you're going to see a big sign somewhere on that PetSmart says grooming. It might even say dog grooming or cat grooming. So
Can I tell them the
no,
answer?
you can't tell dog grooming and cat grooming.
No, like I want to give the answer, not like grooming.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
No,
you were like, can I tell the
sorry.
recruiter
No.
it's
Oh
dog
my.
grooming or cat? All right, go ahead, Loretta.
So backlog grooming is 1 to 2 hours meeting. Whatever stories we can't finish it in 2 weeks, we push it to the next sprint. If we don't need, we delete some stories, and sometimes we need more, we add them. in this backlog grooming period.
That was a very good answer, but I did not. Can you say it again?
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yes. The backlog grooming is 1 to 2 hours meeting.
okay.
In this time, whatever stories we couldn't finish it, we push it to the next sprint
Very
in 2
nice.
weeks period.
Uh, incomplete or
Yeah.
uncompletable.
Yeah, stories.
Completable stories. I'm trying to take your full sentence, put it in a short, but guys, um, you take this short and make it into a full sentence when you answer, just like she did, because that's a very good answer. I would prefer that than what I'm writing here, but I don't want you to memorize. So, uncompletable stories,
We couldn't finish it in 2 weeks.
yeah, pushed into
Push it to the
next
next sprint.
print. Okay, anything else?
If we don't need it, we delete those stories, and
And
we can add more in the sprint in that.
very nice.
Yeah, grooming.
Unnecessary stories are deleted
Deleted
from
and
backlog.
necessary. Mhm. Also, we add necessary one in the story.
Yes,
We add them. Mhm.
add needed or add new needed stories. And this would be a good time to add that in there. Anything goes, guys. There's no rules. So in here, if you ask me what new stories am I going to add? Well, the business analyst already been talking to the product owner, and product owner has been telling business analyst that, hey, we know that you're working on this, but we got this new thing coming, and we need to start working on the new thing right after this thing. So business analyst already has stuff in her mind, and she's going to talk to this product owner and project manager and say, "Hey, we've got this thing coming up, and why don't we have a few minutes? Why don't we write up some stories and put it in the backlog?" So this is mainly cleaning up, adding things to the backlog. Understand that if they say backlog grooming or if they say grooming, it's the same thing. You
Well,
don't groom anything else. You only groom backlog. There's nothing
can
else
I
to
add
groom.
something?
Go ahead.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, grooming means that taking care of something. So it should be going at the end of the task or almost at the end of the task to review what to be done, and there might be some new features that to be added, or there might be some features that is not necessary to be deleted that already discussed. And I need to add something like that. If it is assigned to someone or some group that couldn't finish in the close to estimated time, then it might be assigned to other person or group. Is it correct or not?
It's not going to go to other group. It's your backlog, it's your team, and it's your group. You're in one group.
Okay, so can it be, suppose I had been assigned for the four tests or 5 tests, any number of tests, but almost at the end of the sprint, I uh, I saw that I could finish maybe 60% of the assigned work, and I guess that I could finish maximum 70% at the end of the sprint. So in that case, can it be assigned to other person or not? And that goes to the subtitle of grooming or not.
Not, I have not seen that. Can it be done? Sure, but chances are they pick, let's say you are a developer and they picked you, you designed a UI version meaning the front end. The beautiful
Mhm.
picture that you see is UI. But there is this back end, somebody who has to code the back side of it, meaning the server side code, and
Mhm.
which is not very pretty. It's very ugly side. They don't see the pictures and stuff. And they chose you to do the pretty side because you have the HTML, you're the HTML expert.
Mhm.
But the other developer we got, he is not HTML expert. He is more like a server side coder. In that case, if he is not able to complete his stories, but you already completed yours and you got a day left, sprint is still on, and you got nothing to do, unfortunately, he will still have to push that story next sprint instead of assigning to you because you won't be able to do his story because you're not the same. You don't have the same coding skills.
Yeah, got it.
So everybody is a micro expert in their own area. You are becoming a micro expert in quality assurance automation, test automation area, which, by the way, they have no idea what you're going to be doing. So everybody depends on everybody. It's like a community. You got a doctor, you got an engineer. So that team is very unique, uniquely formed. So uh, hardly I've seen saying, "Hey, I'll take on that story." But if that got assigned to you, it will get pushed to the next sprint. However, when in the sprint planning, I have seen developers just kind of say, "Oh, I'm going to be on vacation. Is there anybody else who might want to take this one?" So right when planning, meaning it has not been assigned yet, I have seen one or two developers might just say, "Yeah, I'll take that one. I get that." Or I have seen saying, um, "Okay, I'll take it, but I don't know how to do it. Can you show me where I can get that information?" And then the other developer says, "Yeah, we'll meet up and I'll show you how to figure that out." And so this is how you can kind of share and uh, one can step on the other person's spot. Okay? Print review demo is the same thing. What it says, you review, you demo. These happen right after the sprint is done, so all stories have been completed, and developers demo each other or the demo the stakeholder. Stakeholder can be anybody. Stakeholder is like a general term, if you remember. Who is a stakeholder, Annie? What is a stakeholder, or who are the stakeholders? Annie, you may be muted. Do you want to try that? Looks like she's muted. Anybody wants to jump in?
It's like everyone included with that um, task, like, or the thing they are built, like end user, the product, who is giving the product,
Product
like,
owner.
yeah, and also the people are giving the product, like, to build it. So it's including everyone, like product owner,
Yes.
customer, end user.
So it means it means the responsible person or the beneficiaries all together.
Yes, that's right.
Anybody can be.
Absolutely. Don't just say product owner. First, your answer should be anyone who has a stake. Stake means like I got an interest. So, or interest. Interest is a light word. I don't like to use it. Stake is a better word. The difference is interest is like, I'm a little interested. But stake is like, I'm not just interested, but if you don't do this, my butt is going to be on fire. So this is more serious. So product owner, absolutely. Because it's their responsibility to make sure that they deliver the product properly. Project manager, making sure the project goes smoothly so that the product can be delivered. Customers, two types of customers. Well, when I say customer, it's not your Priceline customer or you and me going buying things. No,
Like
it's the
Priceline
people.
itself.
Yeah, it's the owners of Priceline came to you and say, build me the Priceline website. So the owners of the Priceline are the customers to you. But owners of the Priceline have users, which are general people that go into Priceline and book stuff. So those are users. So you could start with saying, if they ask you, who are the stakeholders? You can say anybody, and everybody who has a stake in that product development that affects it, that they get affected by it if that product doesn't produce properly, and that includes, and then you say includes product owner. Start with the product owner, project manager, then go with customers, end users. Okay. There.
So any person in the chain.
Any person in the chain. Okay. Stanley, what type of, who I didn't ask yet, let me see. Sangita, what type of team structure do you have?
Like those who have coding background. Those who have
If you
coding
don't
background.
understand the question, what are you supposed to do?
Team structure do I have?
You ask a smart, witty follow-up question. Okay, this is like what is he asking for? And you're, trust me, a recruiter is not gonna give you such a wonderful question. They're gonna have an accent. You won't be understanding half the things they say. They don't even care about forming the question beautifully so that you understand and answer it. They don't. They're not your teacher. So you have to be proactive about, I'm not really sure. Could you please elaborate? So, come up with a few ways to uh, go back at that question. Like, I am not sure what this question is wanting to know.
The question.
Wanting to know. I mean, you name it, how you want to say it. Doesn't really matter. And then say, could you, could, excuse me, could you please elaborate? Okay. By saying
Oh,
elaborate,
Okay.
you're saying go more into it. Can you tell me? I think I know the answer. By this, you're saying I think I know the answer, but maybe I'm not understanding what you're asking for. You don't want to say you, okay? Don't say the word I don't understand what you're asking for. Because when you say you, it's like pointing finger at somebody. And then
Okay.
it's showing like you're getting a little pissed off on them.
Okay.
It doesn't show, but people feel that way. All right. The people's psychology feels that way. So always take the person out of the picture and look at the question from this perspective, that it's not
and
him or her that's doing anything, but just like the question is kind of needs a little bit of elaboration. So suppose you asked me that question. Just to hold on a second. You asked me
Yeah,
that
please.
question that you needed to understand a little bit more. Now I am obligated to give you a little more information because I want you to understand the question. I can't say,
Mhm.
nope, sorry, you got a 0 on that one. So I might
Okay.
rephrase and say, what methodology do you apply in your workspace, workplace? That will be my follow-up question. And that methodology is from one of our classes. So do you want to take a stab at it?
It's agile and waterfall.
Yes. So your
Yeah.
answer is going to be agile or waterfall. You're going to
Agile.
say currently the team I am working on, the team I work with applies the agile Scrum principles. Principles means ideas. Okay. Principles, methodologies, formula, team structure, they're all the same thing. But they want to hear these words from you. If you say these words, you push the right button. If you push the right button, they might go follow up and say, can you explain what agile is, Stanley?
Oh, yes. Hi. So, Agile is like it's a um, development and testing at the same time. So you develop one layer or one steps, and you do test at the same time, just to check that whether the what you develop is working as per the requirement or not. That's what I remember that Agile is like a continuous process. Like we can develop one step and check at the same time.
It's like working hand in hand in a flexible job. You know,
Okay. So whenever you think both both have good answers, and it's kind of synthesize what you said in this. Whenever you think about agile, think about opposite of waterfall. But first of all, you have to say that this is some sort of team structure or team workflow. I mean, how are you gonna work? There is a system of you doing your work. You could be like a turtle and crawling your way there, or you could be a rabbit and running your way there. So there is a different way of finishing or doing your work. So the mindset is that agile. Agile is a specific type of mindset. How are you going to do business? How are you going to get this product ready? So talk about that first. That will be your first thing that you have to specify that uh, uh, it is a mindset or a principle, or if this word is too complex for you, methodology, sometimes I can't even get it out of my tongue. Uh, and especially in the interview, I will slaughter all over on that word. So I'll probably just use the word principle or method. Okay. Use anything or style. I mean, what works for you? All means the same thing. Or mindset. Um, and then you talk about it in the perspective of opposite of what it is from waterfall. what's a significant aspect? What's the most significant aspect of waterfall? Goes to anybody.
Actually, waterfall means the water drops from up and runs towards the down. So there is no feedback from the bottom to the up. This is the principle of waterfall. That
So
means
how does that apply to this software development?
that means the manager assigns something to the business analyst. Business analyst did something and passed it to the developer, and the developer did something, passed it to the testing engineers. And when the testing engineers did it something, at that time, the previous stakeholder are not available. That is the shortfall of waterfall.
Good answer, Chisti. The way you can make it even 5 times better is you have to, instead of saying who is turning the work to who, it's what step to what step. And that's where that what are the phases, what are the steps of SDLC. Annie, what does SDLC stand for?
Software development life cycle.
Good job. Marta, what are the phases of, is she still on?
Planning. First one is planning.
শুনে না আমি তো যে এই যে মিউট করে রাখেছে
Analysis.
Analysis, yeah. Sorry. Design,
Right.
build,
Mhm.
testing,
Yes.
deploy,
Uh-huh.
maintain.
Maintain. Good. It has to be in the tip of your tongue, guys. 4 years of experience, and you don't know this, that's gonna be very hard to prove. So get yourself a notepad or something, uh, flashcard, anything, put it in your pocket, go to work with it, and keep looking at it, memorize it. And so, just going back to piggybacking what you said, it's gonna be like planning. You don't want to specify who, but you want to say when planning is done, it's done. Now goes to analysis team. When they're done, goes to design team. They're done, goes to the developer build team. That's done. Developers at this point they moved to a different project, maybe even different company. They were part-time contracted jobs, and they've been shifted away. Now you guys testers got hired, contracted job, and you guys are testing it, and you want to like, oh, I got a bug. Who are you gonna give the bug to? Because these guys are gone. So that's the waterfall idea. And in agile, what Stanley said is collaborative work with teams. You're meaning all these people are still in here, and they're gonna be in here, and you can talk. This tester can talk to somebody in planning, no problem. The design guy, business analyst, can talk to somebody who's going to deploy it, no problem. Anybody can talk to anybody. So it's a fluid way of working. And continuous development, another thing was that there is no, oh, I got this, I got to finish this before I go to design. No. As you are planning, builders are already building it. You're like, you got one story done? Cool. Developers like, let me take that. I'll start working on it. Testers like, oh, I see what you're building. I know how to test it. All right. I got it in my mind. Soon as you build it, I'm going to create a test case for it. And then right when you tested and said, looks like it's passing, let's move it forward, the release team is going to take that and kick it off to customers. And then you double check again, make sure that in your maintenance phase that those are still working with the customers the way it's supposed to. And it
I have
and
a
still,
question.
yeah, go ahead. What was that?
So Agile is the teamwork. We work as a team.
Continuous. Working as a
Okay.
team, collaborate. It's the opposite of waterfall where one phase, each phases have to wait for one phase to complete or previous phase to complete. In Agile, design team does not have to wait for these guys to complete. They're starting to work right away. Okay, there's not much documentation, by the way, less documentation here. Waterfall has more documentation. Anyway, going back to what team structure to where you're working on, you're going to say Agile Scrum. What's the difference between Scrum and Kanban? What is, or you can even say what it is. Question goes to Parvin. Parvin, you are muted. You may be having some. Oh, there you go.
What is Kanban? Scrum versus Kanban.
Yes. Or what? Do you remember?
List of the work.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. You're getting heading the right direction. So Scrum is where do you remember that picture of rugby, everybody fighting over a
So
ball?
is it scalable?
I don't think this question applies here because it's more like a this is rabbit. Okay. And Kanban is a turtle. What does that tell you?
The Scrum is in the 2 weeks frame. Am I right? Everybody work together for the Scrum, and Kanban is like
Yes.
a slow process. We don't finish it in 2 weeks. It can
Yes.
be more.
Yes. There is no sprint.
Yes. Mhm.
And this is like a race to
Yes.
finish line in
It has a
within,
time limit
yeah,
to
within
finish it.
within the sprint. You got a time limit. You have to run. That's Scrum. Tell them
Mhm.
you are in Scrum. You are using Scrum method, Scrum strategy, Scrum style of working. They may sometimes they might ask you, who's your Scrum manager? Oh, sorry, Scrum master. Scrum master. Scrum master is nothing but whoever in your team holds the biggest say in this time race. Like, oh, we got to finish this, we got to finish that. And
Manager.
yeah, that's your team manager. It could be project manager, it could be product owner, it could be director directly involved in your team. That could be, but never two people. Okay, never two people. You may not have a project manager and somebody in your company. Like when I joined, we have this guy named Vinay, and he's like the director of software engineering. And in our teams, we never had managers. He might pop in every once in a while and pop in, pop out, and that's it. So, but he was still our project manager, even though his title was director of software engineering, because he was the direct manager who was overseeing this project. That makes him a project manager, but we don't call him that. Now, if my recruiter told me, "Do you have a Scrum Master?" That's what I'm going to explain to him. That I don't have a direct Scrum Master in my team, but we have a director who pops in and out, and he acts like a scrum master. So you can just call him that. It's just another name for somebody. And you make up what you want to say, how you want to say your answer, you make it up. And that's going to be more on the interview classes. Okay. I'm going to stop here. It's been about 45 minutes. Let's take 5 minutes. I think that was a good review. And we're going to get started on today's class of XML and JSON and how they work. It's all about data structure and data transfer. So I'll see you back in 9:50.
If you could post those, notes on the
Absolutely.
text, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Do put this in your notepad or flashcards and study them. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, let's get started. So today's class, before I go to today's class, let me just kind of go over what we did and then tie that together to what we have today. Now, the whole point of you taking this HTML, creating your own website in a very small scale, but still getting your hands dirty with what the developers do, gives you a way to put your eyes on what you're going to be testing. All of this is going to be needed for automation, not manual testers. You as a manual tester, you never have to look at these codes, but for automation you do. You don't have to write it. You have to understand it, like what's going on here. So I went to this Yahoo site and then I see starts with an HTML and so forth, which you're going to work on. There's a body and the head, and then you can break this down farther and go deeper. There's something called type, and there's the type text, and then type bunch of other things. There's the source thing that we did where you added the image for that, and then you have that anchor tag that holds stuff. You can go deeper. You've seen iframe. It wasn't working first, but then it started working, so you know how that is. Each of these are HTML statements that affect an element right here, and you saw that when you wrote an iframe, it gave you an iframe somewhere inside that. So one statement is responsible for one piece of thing that's on that web page, and that's called an element. I'll give you the definition when we get to Selenium class, but that's the whole point. And you're gonna see a lot more than what you actually are going to be uh, using to develop your one website. Why is that? Well, because it's not just your website is basically just displaying what you want it to display, and it doesn't talk to anything else. It doesn't go to any backend server and give you something. You can't fill out. Yeah, you're gonna have a form, but you could put in your first name and last name and address in the form and put a submit. It doesn't do anything. It stays right there. That information does not go anywhere. But over here, there are properties, there are attributes, and these are called an attribute. So you have an attribute and then a value. We learned that yesterday, and we did tag name. So there's your tag name. And the text goes right here from beginning and ending. So that's the opening tag, closing tag, text goes right there, and bunch of attribute values goes here. This is how the developer controls what goes in and out of the server and transfer information. So we'll investigate just a little bit to see if we see any kind of those communicative signs. So if we go to here, understand that Priceline website communicates with other companies. Like if you go to flights, for example, and you want to say, I want to depart from DFW, meaning Dallas, and I want to go to New York City. It's going to tell you when. Oh, I didn't see this. It actually tells you the prices. Nice. I want to choose the lowest price. I might make that trip actually. $93. That's not bad. 144. Okay. Already gives me price. That's a new feature, folks. Somebody must have added that, tested it, and then solidified it, brought it back up here. Cool. And if I hit find your flight, it's now, see this thing is spinning? This is just keeping you waiting until all the other airline servers get the data and then send information back saying, hey, we got a flight, and it's this much and that timing. That's from Spirit Airlines, so this is supposed Spirit Airlines. Then there could be American Airlines, and American Airlines comes back, and then that spinning thing's still moving because it didn't come back yet, and it's done, meaning came back, and then give you another flight information down here, and another thing coming and down here. So if I open up this, right click, inspect again, always the same thing. There are some things in here as an attribute that can actually um, do that. It can take data from you. You are the client. So trying to investigate to see where it's hidden. Somewhere it's hidden. But you see, there are some things that I don't even understand. Okay, and that might be one of those aspects that's in here that will take that data and go into the servers. And if you want to learn more, you can go watch a bunch of HTML videos. There's full courses out there. You can do this like maybe 15, 20 hours of videos, and you can become an HTML expert. But that is totally out of the scope of this program. So I won't go there farther. And I don't even know. So I only know what I need to know to get my job done as a QA automation engineer. So, but you're welcome to learn more because now that you got your hands dirty. But here's what happens. If you go to this network tab, that network tab right there, this list all the calls that go from your side to the server side. So, for example, watch this. I'm going to clear this up and I'm going to hit find flight. Oops. I'm going to have to inspect here. Network. You don't need to learn this right now. I just want to demo you. So refresh this page. Look at this. Look what's happening. All of this got filled up, and all of these, goodness gracious, there's so many. Every one of this is a way to communicate. Is a way to communicate to the server somewhere else. It could be anywhere in the world. And I want you to look at a couple of things here. When I click on one of these randomly, your takeaway today from this is that look at this HTTP and then affirm.com. It's going to affirm.com server API. Who remembers what API stands for? We briefly went over. Open mic, you can unmute yourself and tell. And then there's this data right here, and it's going in and it's saying search. See, that's the word search. It's searching for something. Show CTA, not sure what that is. There's a property called true. Notice something here, it's called get. Notice this is 200. We're going to talk about this towards the end of the project, end of this program, and I'll show you what these mean. But these are where this website here is communicating through this website into various airline industry websites, their servers and their data, looking through flights, what's available, what the price is. It's complex. It's amazing how things are right now. And this information passing through the thin air literally, because you're wireless, it's going through the air. Mind-boggling how it works. It's going through the air in a lightning speed, going into their servers, coming back and displaying that data in front of you. It's like magic, guys. It's magic. You work in a magic magic field. If you get a job here and work with them, it's amazing what these guys do. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at this. I want you to look at this though. http://www.affirm.com/API. Okay, what is this? Well, before I explain that,
So API, is it application programming net interface or something like that? Application programming interface.
correct, good job.
So
So
that
API,
means
Mhm.
that means it can work with the different different website together. This is some program that can interlink the other website or program together. Is it?
Yes, yes. There's no one way to explain this. So I will get to it slowly, but you do need to understand this acronym. What is API, Application Programming Interface? Okay. I'll give you some real world examples shortly. I have a video for you to watch as well, so that might clear up some things. So, and it will be embedded in your memory. Again, today's lesson is on how we're going to transfer this data. That's why I wanted to show you. So HTML and JSON are ways to transfer data. We'll break this down shortly. But again, I need to piece together a few more things. So yesterday, you guys saw that I created a automation lessons packet, and in this folder, I have files, and one of the files we created was my first website. So if I open this up, uh, we ended up doing something like this. Remember that? Okay. Now take a look at this URL right here. Look what it has. C colon. So it has this C colon /users Stein OneDrive desktop automation lessons. What you're probably asking, what is that? That %20, and then my %20 first, and then website dot html. Why is that %20? Well, I had space between those names. So if you look at this folder, the name of the folder itself has a space. And then the name of the file also has space between them. And URL, meaning the address to go to somewhere, cannot have space. So automatically, computer added this %20 to say, hey, this is the space, but ignore that space. And that's what happened. But what I want you to understand here is, let's say if I copy this, and I put it in here, why don't you look at it? And I'm going to take this part off, not needed. That's one way to get the location. This is a location of the file where I have this cars information in. The other way to get the location is if you open up this folder, you go into this folder, you right click on the file, you go to properties, and you copy this where it says location right there. You copy this whole thing right here. So you copy it from here. But if you do it that way, it's not going to have the name of the file. Let me delete this here. It's only going to have this much. It's going to come up to automation lessons. Also, it has a space. That's going to be a problem. Put a backspace. Well, or you can put this %20. And then you have to still follow the same pattern of backward slash and say my first website .html. And normally, I going forward, we're never gonna have space like this. Okay, these spaces cause a lot of problems in programming. So we're gonna be connecting them together. All our names are gonna be with no space whatsoever, kind of gonna be like this. So for now, I'll just leave it like this. So that's one way to get that. The other way you can get the address or the location is if you click right here. And this is the location for your file or folder. But again, it's not going to have the file name. You're going to have to add the file name. So if I click here, see, the moment I clicked there, it gives me that whole path. C:, users. What does that mean, C:? Well, you go to your PC, and that C:, is the drive that you have. It's like a hard disk where you're storing the data. And that's called C:. You may have more. If you put a flash drive, you might see another one right here. But the C:, is always your standard drive. So if I expand that, inside that, there's a bunch of folders. It's like a closet here, closet for shoes, closet for jacket, closet for makeup, and a kitchen. It's organized beautifully. But most of your stuff is always going to be under users. Everything else, important stuff, programming stuff, your computer needs are going to be in elsewhere. If I open up the users, inside users, I got my name. Your computer is going to have your name. I click my name, opens up. Some of the basic stuff is automatically generated for you. You can create more folders here if you want to. Just by clicking new and then folder, you can create another folder. But some of these folders are already made for you to make it easy for you. One of our favorite one is called desktop. And in here, I'm not seeing it. I think it's probably because it's inside one of these, maybe favorites. No. Okay. The other way to check is if you click on desktop here, that's also shortcut brought it over here for you. And click on this section here. It's supposed to show, but it's not showing me. All right. The other thing, I can right click and show more options and go to properties and look at this. It's inside this OneDrive. So users Stein OneDrive. So I now know where it is. So I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to go to this PC, open this up, users and Stein, and there's this OneDrive right here. If I open up, don't be panicked by this icon. That icon is nothing. It's nothing. It's just folder. They just changed the folder icon to a cloud icon. The music, that icon, nothing. It's still a folder. It could be empty. There's nothing there. So if I click open, and then now I see the desktop. And if I open up desktop, that's also a folder. And these are all folders and files in here. And then you got this automation lessons. And then there you have it. But again, what I'm saying is you can click right here and copy that, put it in here. You get the same thing. And then you can put in what file you want. Right there. Okay. With me so far? No. Everything that you see on a browser, they are all the same way. You actually have an address, not in your own computer, but you have an address to go into that company's server. Then you're probably asking, well, Stein, how come? Because if I copy the URL from here, so let's see, if I copy, you're like, that doesn't make any sense, because look at this, I can copy this here. It doesn't look anything like what you got. There, that's Priceline. You're like, yours don't have this www.priceline or stein.com or myfirstlesson.com here, but these guys have HTTP. Yours start with the C colon. Well, that's a good question, because what they do and what you need to do, if you want this website that you created, and you can do this very easily, you can post this to the world from your own computer. Don't have to go anywhere else. From your own computer. All you have to do is buy something called domain. Domain name. Called a domain name. And this Priceline.com is a domain name this company bought. And you could buy something called www.parveen.com. You can buy this from the domain department. In fact, I bought this www.automationlessons.com, and I have a few more sites that I'll give you access to as you go deeper into the course. I had to buy this domain name. So what happens? Once you buy this domain name, you're like, okay, I want this domain name and I want this file. You connect this file to this domain name, and you no longer have this C colon user Stein nothing. This whole thing is going to get matched, and it's going to say something like this. It's going to have www.parveen.com/automation lessons my first website .html. That's it. Or just my first website. HTML is not going to even show. That would become your website. Any question? No question. Okay. Take a look at this part here. This is getting masked by that C colon blah blah blah. We don't even know what they had in their company. But we can already see that inside whatever they had a folder, just like we had an automation lessons folder. Priceline has a folder called hotels. Okay. Inside that folder, Priceline has some code. And that code is getting searched by this unique ID. It's called VRID. I don't need you to understand any of this, and I don't understand any of it, but I just need you to know that you can decipher a few things from just by looking at this URL. And it's called URL. I need to look this up. Universal language, let me something. We never really used the full version of it. Nobody ever asked. What does URL stand for? Uniform Resource Locator. Okay, Uniform Resource Locator. And never remember this. There's another one called URI, which is also means the same thing except might have a different acronym. So URI. Identifier, Universal Resource Identifier. You can interchange this. Universal, uniform means the same thing. Universal Resource Identifier. Right. When you are going to be using APIs, a lot of the time they use this term instead of URL. Whenever I say URL, I mean www.com, blah, blah, blah. Whenever I say address bar is always this place right here. You type in your address to go somewhere, and that will be your address bar. All right? During your APIs, you'll be using this term. So where can I buy domains? If you have that question, buy domains. There are different companies. The top ones are called GoDaddy. And you can go in here and you can search right here and see. And it's as little as $2.99, guys, per year. And you can look for your name to see if this domain is available. What if I do like Chisti Hassan, CHISTY Hassan, chistihassan.com. Search, and it's telling me it's available. So if you wanted to buy that chistihassan.com, you can buy it for $2.99 for the first year. From next year, it's going to be $19.99. And then once you buy it, set up your account, you tell what you want that this place to display, and you tell them it's in your computer on this file location. You provide the file location, and voila, now you have your website displayed to the whole world. That's all I had on this. Any question? Just needed to wrap this up from what you are building yesterday.
I just have a question. If we don't buy the domain, that means no one, like only I can see from my computer, not other computer, right?
Correct. Doesn't mean the hackers don't have ways to get into your computer and see that file. They can. As long as the only way to secure your stuff, not connect your computer to the internet. But if you're connected to the internet and your firewall is not strong enough, and the hacker wants you because you're a high target person, you have a lot of money, or they've targeted you because they can get something from you, they are smart enough and they have their coding power to break through that firewall, get into your computer, look through every file, and get all data they want to do whatever they want to do. Luckily, we're not billionaires and we're not targeted by the hackers. We're not attractive to them.
Stan, I have one clarification of the website. There are some code like the number and the letters. So I have the clarification for that. That is a protocol that is called IPv6 protocol, TCP protocol.
This one?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that is IPv6 protocol.
You're right. That's correct. I know what you're talking about. I don't want to go into this with them. Yeah, that's more of a network engineering term. All right. Okay. So now that you understand how a website works, that you can create your own website from home, put it on web, have your own domain name, voila, and then start doing business from whatever. You want to expand this, watch a few more videos and go that direction you want to, go for it. You can take this learning, what you did with me today, and apply it there. And in fact, I am using it because
I
my website here, Automation Lessons, this whole thing is bought by domain, and I am all the stuff that you see in this website is in my computer. Actually, it's in Google Drive. It's in Google Drive and getting displayed right here. You all have read-only access, and then notice if I take the URL right here and put it in here, you're not gonna see it says automation lessons. Where does it say www.automationlessons.com? It doesn't. It actually shows where it is. It's in Google Sites, and then the View folder, Auto Tech Notes folder, Week 3 folder, and there's this name called XML JSON page, something else. I don't know what this is. None of this makes sense to me, but I just know folders, and I have stuff in there. Okay.
Can you please repeat again?
So instead of
Shall we
www.
have to buy one?
No, you don't. In this course, you don't have to pay a penny. Everything is free for you of what you need to do. But if you need to create a website and stuff like that, it's your personal choice. Then you can do that. I do it because I have a business. I'm a business of training you guys. So I spend money on these kinds of things. That's the
So
overhead
we're just
expenses.
learning to open a website, but no need to buy it so far.
You don't need to open up a website for the public. If you do want to open up a website for the public, you have to buy it like this.
Okay.
See that? And you can go from here. These companies, they are the father and housekeeper of this internet world. If this guy sell you this, no one else can sell Chisti Hassan to anybody else. It's now registered for Chisti alone in the world. No one else can type in Chisti Hassan and get a different website. Nope. It's kind of like that. Okay? And it's not very expensive. By the way, just to throw it out there, a lot of people in the when the internet just came out, they bought these domains left and right for cheap, like $2.99. They bought like tech.com, for example. Somebody bought tech.com. And it's just like he's nobody. He doesn't have a business, nothing. He just bought the tech.com. Guess what? So, some business came up and they're like, we need that domain name. We want that. We don't want anything else. We just want tech.com. Well, they found out it's already taken. Well, who has it? Well, this dude somewhere in the middle of nowhere, he goes to college, he bought it. Does he do anything with it? No. Well, this company goes out to him and say, hey, we're going to give you $1 million. We need that domain name. And he sells that. He says, sure, I'll give it to you. You guys take it. I'll take the $1 million. So a ton of people made a ton of money just by doing this about 20, 30 years ago. That time is gone. Now all those good ones are taken. Okay. All right. So now that you understood that concept, let's go to how does the data go from front end. Now we got the data in the front end, and I'm using some terms that I need to define first. So a couple of things, definitions. There is something called front end. You're going to hear me say it so many times, front end. And front end is basically what you see as a user. Okay? Instead of saying you, we can say what we see as a user. Using the browser. When I say browser, I don't mean Chrome, I don't mean Safari, it could be anything. It could be CHROME, Chrome, Safari, that's for Apple. It could be Internet Explorer, And then it could be Firefox. Okay, guys, the end goes on and on and on, different companies, and we use different ones. Your computer might have Internet Explorer built in. I use Chrome. I have to download Chrome. It doesn't come with it. It's free. So what browser does is it allows you to go into you communicate through a beautiful view like this, and then go into other servers and get information, request information, send information, your online banking, everything is done through these browsers, so it's so important. This is front end, meaning what you can see, it's pretty, it's beautiful. When I say back end, that means I'm talking about servers. Server is a supercomputer, is a bigger, more powerful computer. Server is a much more powerful computer than you have. It has more storage capacity. It doesn't have a screen. You don't need to see anything. It doesn't have a monitor hooked up to it. But it has processors, powerful processors. All right. And the code can be written here to communicate back and forth. That's what it does. It stores data, it communicates, it sends and receives requests. It does what it's supposed to do. It's called a server. Why is it called a server? Because that's what it does. In a restaurant, when you go to a restaurant and you have a server come to you and say, "Ma'am, what would you like to have today? Are you ready for your order?" That's actually what the server does. Its function is to ask you, "What do you want?" And you tell them, "I want this. I want guacamole." And the server goes back and gets the guacamole for you. So you are the front end. Server is the back end coming to you asking what you want and getting things for you. Okay. Any questions about front end and back end? There is code written in front end. There is code written in back end. The guys that write front end code, they use what called HTML. Guys also, including HTML, they might use Java, Python, Angular, you name it. There's all flavors and taste and varieties out there. I'm going to teach you Java. Once you know Java, if you needed to learn these, it's going to be piece of cake. Java is the most popular programming language in the world, still today, and always was. Over here, there is no HTML. So no HTML in the backend. But they may have Python, Java, Angular, Golang,
C+?
C
Is it C+?
Sharp.
C
It used to
star?
be called C++. Now
Yep.
they updated and call it C Sharp.
Yep.
All right. And anything. I mean, this is a small list. It could be anything. You get hired into a company, your developers may be using a different language. Who cares? Doesn't really matter. It won't affect your job. So this front end is sometimes called client. So if I say client, always think of the word front end. Hand in hand. And if I say back end, or I might say server. So either I could say client and server, or I could say front end and back end. It means the same thing. Okay. Any question? Now let's look at overall how things are done. It's very complicated. Nobody knows everything, okay? So, but we're going to try to understand this a little bit in a nutshell, how things work. So first, you have this website that you go to. You and I only know this, and we know it works. We don't know how it. And that is called your, excuse me, I didn't mean to open this one. But that is that HTML that we saw. Just a second. Let me move this here. So we saw the HTML, and what happens is when you type in something and you want to press a button and you want to change something, immediately a request goes from your HTML to this major server that's somewhere located in that company, and it goes and asks you for something. And this server is going to process this information in here and give you back exactly what you wanted. Okay? The code that does that for you, it's called API, or Application Programming Interface. Right? You don't get to see this code. It's there somewhere, and it's going to do its thing. And it's going to be a backend code stored somewhere in the server. Okay? The Application Programming Interface. Now, even though this code is in here and it does that for you, of doing the job of bringing back and forth, there is actually a truck. There's a truck. I don't know if I can draw this well. Horrible. Okay, there is a truck that takes this information back and forth, and this truck is called the JSON and XML. The JSON and XML is like an envelope. You want to write a letter of saying how much you love somebody, and you want to send that letter to that person, you have to put it in any one of these kind of envelope. And then that envelope is going to have a to and a from. And then that's going to, based on the to and a from, this is kind of like a postman thing, mailman thing. It has the same idea built into this, how it communicates. Based on that to and from and how you have this information from this website, it's going to get packed into this JSON or XML and then go into the server. Server is going to be able to open that envelope, read it, and say, oh, you wanted this. Okay, I'm going to put this stuff in an envelope and send it back to you. And your website here is going to open it up and it's going to display it in a beautiful way. Any question?
Oh, this means the first part, JSON, this is the envelope. And the second part, XML, this is the address for the specific person or site. Is it like that?
No, both of them are different kinds of envelope. One is like DHL, the other is like FedEx. And I'll get to the details of it short.
So is that actually the protocol of transferring data or something like that?
Yes, it's a standard of transferring data.
Okay.
And I hate to I'm trying not to use all fancy terms, then I lose people. You know what I mean? So I'll try to make it as easy as possible. Now, in here somewhere there's something called a database. Database is like a storage. And actually, this whole thing is inside this. But I like to hold it here so you can kind of see what's going on. So as soon as the server receives this request or something, it's going to go into this data. Like, hey, let me see if that airline is available or not. Or has it been taken? Are there any seats available? What are the prices for that? All of that information storage is in something like this called database, which your very next class, Saturday, or not Saturday, Sunday's class, we're going to show you how to put data here, get back and forth here. In some levels, you will have idea of that. Okay, so data gets requested and see, hey, is there data there? And then this comes back with saying, yeah, I got some data, and it's prices this way, and there's like 5 seats available. And then this code right here is like the brain looks at that data like, okay, 5 seats and this much price. Okay, I'm going to put it right here, put it into an envelope called XML or JSON, and then ship it out with the to address and come back in here. And in here, your HTML code is going to this envelope, let's say JSON, open it up and display it in a beautiful way so you understand. Okay.
Just one question, like in the website, the HTML gonna decode the JSON on XML. What happened in the server? What code it gonna how it gonna decode that what it needs to send?
Good question. Now, let me say this, that because this is a standard, what just happened? Hang on a second. Escape. This whole thing just filled up my whole screen. That's not good. I'm gonna have to close this window down. It might lose all my notes.
Before closing down, can you send the note in the chat box so that we can copy it?
I don't see a thing, you know. I don't know what just. Oh, wait.
Oh, it comes up.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's a meeting window. Cancel. Got it. Okay. Shoo. Let me quickly copy this and paste it. It was a button that messed up things. Okay. Stanley, can you ask me that question again? Totally lost track. Stanley, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes. I mean, the thing is like what I understood that the website gonna decode the JSON XML with HTML, but how the server gonna decode the JSON XML that was sent from the website?
Same way. So they would take this, and in a few minutes, I'll show you how this XML code is written. You're gonna practice this JSON and XML code hands-on and see how they are boxed and packed into an envelope. And there is a code in here which is more like a developer code that they're going to look through this and pick it up and break it up, put it in a table format, and then store it into the database. And then again, from the database, take it from the table format and pack it into this by the code and then ship it out. More on that I'll show you later, Stanley, because right now it will defeat the scope of today's lesson.
Okay,
So
no problem. Thank you.
let's watch this video here. It may not make a whole lot of sense and it might go really fast, but at least it's gonna stay in your mind that, oh, I remember that video that I saw on server, and this is how computer communicates, and you might be able to add a few things when you have that interview question. So watch this. Let me know if the sound is not high enough to stop me. So let me know if you can't hear it. How's the sound, guys, on that?
I can't hear any sound.
Oh, no sound at all, like right now? Can you hear anything?
No.
Super
No
slow.
No
sound.
sound.
No sound.
Okay, there may be a meeting control thing that I have to do on this. Let me see. It's weird. Okay, I'm gonna have to leave the meeting and come back, but I don't want to do that. But there was an option that I needed to select, I believe. But I'll let you watch this yourself. So what you do is you go into this XML classes slideshow and open up this where it says overview, and you're going to see a video link right here. So on your own, you can just kind of watch that. Really not that important, because if you understood this, how it communicates, that's all you need to know for this one. And other than that, you don't have to worry about that. Okay. So let's go deep dive into this XML and JSON now that you understand where they are, what they do. So what is XML? XML stands for extensible markup language. Why is it called extensible markup language? I don't know. Nobody's going to ask you that. Just understand. If they do ask you what does XML stand for, just memorize that extensible markup language. Why did they name it like that? I don't know. What is it supposed to do? It's designed to store and transport. Transport means taking from one place to the other. Transport data. That's it. And also it's designed to be self-descriptive. Self-descriptive. Descriptive. And nice thing about it, it is human. It is not only machine, but it is machine and human readable. Both you and the machine can read this, even though it's a bit messy, but you can still understand from it. Okay? Take a look at this. I'll give you an example here. Look at that. This is an example of XML. Do you notice similarities in this with something else?
Note.
What is it?
HTML.
HTML.
HTML. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like the HTML we did,
HTML.
we have an opening tag. We have a closing tag, the node. We have an opening tag of the two, closing tag. And if you decode this, basically it looks like a pretty something like this. This is how the to and a from works in an XML to send it to who, get it from where to go. All that information is encapsulated this way for that XML. Don't ask me how, because I don't. Most people don't know how. The engineers that build this, they know how. They just tell us do it this way, and it works, and that's how we know it. We can't learn everything in how the computer industry has become vast. We just learn what we need to do to get the job done.
So is this Java language?
This is XML.
Okay.
This is not Java.
Okay.
So it is a language. And see this? Extensible markup language. So Java is a different language. This one is the XML language. The name of this language is XML. Now it's almost the same as HTML. If I just put H and T right here, it becomes HTML. Of course, it's very close to that same pattern. What's the difference then? Anybody want to point out what difference there is between HTML versus XML?
This one, XML seems to be like more concerned about the address, right?
Yeah.
Because it has to and from. I don't have any idea. I just thought maybe everything has a to and from.
Correct. Actually, you are in the right track. In XML, you can have any tag name you want. If you need note, you put note as your opening and closing. But there is no tag called note in HTML. HTML doesn't have that. Can somebody tell me some of the tag names that we've done in HTML? HTML has a preset tag names.
HTML.
What was that?
HTML, we need to write it down at the beginning.
Correct. Correct.
The end.
Correct. Very good. So we need that HTML. That's a preset for HTML. We got this, remember, table. Table. We have the A tag. We have the BR tag. All of these are preset for HTML, and you can't change that. You have to go with whatever they have in their list of tag names. But XML is free. It's open. You can do whatever tag you want to set this up. Let's actually see one in example. Let's do it ourselves. So just to wrap this up right here, the similarities to HTML, that XML carry data, HTML only display data. So that's the difference. XML will store and carry it. HTML will display it. XML tags are predefined, meaning a tag, table tag, form tag. But XML is free to define anything. XML can contain any tag. Okay. That's to wrap it up. I don't think they will ask you any question on this as deeper into this, but in case they do. Before I do an example, let's actually look at JSON and see what's the difference between JSON. What is JSON? So JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Again, does it have anything to do with Java? No. It has nothing to do with Java. But can Java use coding to break apart JSON to understand what's in there? Absolutely. Can any other language open up JSON and see what's inside the envelope? Read the love letter from that? Absolutely. The beauty of this JSON is that it works with anything everywhere. Any computer, you name it. Everybody understands it. That's why it's called very lightweight format. Meaning, also it's not very heavy. Like it doesn't have a lot of code. It's simpler than XML, by the way. I'll show you how. XML has a lot of opening tag, closing tag. Oh my goodness. It's too much formalities, but JSON doesn't. It's self-descriptive, meaning if you read it, you will be like, oh, I got this. And easy to understand for human and machine. Data is usually written like this. It's written with a name and then a colon, a value for the name, and everything goes into quotation marks. All right. And you'll see it shortly. We're going to actually type up all this stuff so you'll see it. And all pieces of data is separated by a comma, and curly braces hold stuff or called objects. More on these objects when we go to Java, but we're going to expand on this object. This thing is going to blow your mind away what this object is when we get to Java. But I'm just going to leave it like this for now. But these curly braces, we're going to just close information down with that and show and display it. So square brackets are also used in JSON, and square bracket is used to hold an array. Array means list. So whenever you hear the word list, like you go to shopping and you make a list of items. I want tomato, onions, cucumbers. That list word can be interchangeable with the word array. And you're going to see more of that in Java. We have both of these words in Java, by the way. So you'll see it. There's a little bit of a difference in the coding, how these are, list and array. For now, I just want you to think it's just a list of things. And so hold of a similar list of things, we're going to be using this square brackets. And an example is like this. Take a look at this. We don't have an opening tag and closing tag like XML or HTML, but we do have an opening curly brace and a closing curly brace. And then we have this employees double quote with a colon, and then we have this square brace, square bracket, telling me immediately it's going to tell me that, hey, I got a set of data, or I got sets of data. What is that? Here's a first set, and that set has to be inside the curly brace. Everything is always separated by a comma, like we talked about. And you'll see a comma. And field name, value, name and value, name and value with the colon, comma, name and value. So we got this first name, John, last name, Doe, and we got a comma, close that. We got another first name, Anna, last name, Smith. That's another list. Here's another list. And we close the list down with the square bracket. And this one matches that one to encapsulate equally. If you miss one tiny thing in here, your program is not going to work. And it happens a lot. This is where you come in to test it to see if it's working or not. And this is called API testing. You're going to be learning UI testing, user interface testing. But there's a big world of API testing. When the developer send a list, get a list, and then they make mistake or not, is it working? If they make mistake, it's human. You're going to see I'm going to make mistake when I'm going to be writing this today. It needs to be tested. I am going to show you how to do API testing after you finish this program and when you are in your interviews with the recruiters. This is hot. If you know API testing code, which I know how to do, it just takes another maybe at minimum 2 more extra classes, which I can squeeze in between when you are in the job market. But you can't learn API until you do the UI testing. When you get good with this, then I can show you how to use your code to do this testing. But I'll also show you how to do this manually. Anyway, any questions so far?
Oh yeah, I have one question. If I flashback,
Mhm.
the HTML language and XML. So HTML stands in the user side, right? It doesn't go to the server side.
Correct.
And XML, does it belong to user side and server side both, or the user side or the server side?
Both. It travels. It travels. Imagine
Okay.
imagine this is your envelope right here. And inside the envelope, you have this letter that you wrote to an employee with some information. This envelope is going to get shipped from your computer to the company server. The company is going to open it up, read it, complete your request, send it back to you. Your computer is going to open it up, see this data, and see right now it's like employee list. It could be airline data. It could be American Airlines right here. American Airlines. And then it could say flight number so and so. This is the time. This is the price. It's going to open it up and display it to you with images in a beautiful way. Okay, so that's what's happening in the back that we don't see. But the developer has to know this and they have to code it to make this go back and forth and work properly. You as an test automation engineer or tester, you're going to have to test these at some point. Yeah. Any other questions? Then let's take a look at this table here. And we're going to write up we're going to convert this table. So this table is a beautiful table, very much human readable. Table to XML. And we're going to convert this data into that XML format and see how that looks. This is how the developers code it all the time. They have to use this data all the time. So first, if you look at this table, it's for employees. So we could have an opening tag and a closing tag called employees. Oopsie. Employees and a closing tag. I don't like the HTML. Yeah. So we encapsulated this. Everything is going to be inside here. Kind of like a sandwich, guys. This is like the top part of the sandwich, the one of the bread slice, and here's another slice of the bread. Everything else, the meat, the salad, the tomatoes, the burger patty goes in here, inside. So we're going to sandwich them in here. The next thing, if you look at it, they do have this called employees, but they also have something called data set. They have a one over here, one over here, one over here. So these are all individual employee. So I could even put it into individual employee. So I can have another one called employee. Instead of plural employees, I can have an open tag called employee. I don't have to say employee one. I can just say employee. It gets it. That first one is the employee one. They designed it that way that don't put numbers. Less is more. Less you write is better. And computer will understand that the first one is the first employee. So I got another sandwich inside a sandwich. It's a big sandwich. and there's a small sandwich inside a big sandwich. So in this sandwich, I got this first name, James, last name, Bond, age 55, salary 10,000. Oh no, that's 100,000. Yeah, that's about his salary, maybe more. Actually, millions. So what you can do is in here, you can have another open tag. Who can tell me what's going to be the opening tag here?
First name.
Correct. First name, all lowercase, by the way, and closing tag, first name. And inside this first name, remember the text goes right here. So this James is the cell value. That's going to go here. Yes.
Yeah. Can I ask something? Hello.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, why we need to give the employee the second one? Employees, I understood the first thing. The employee.
So you need to separate this 3 sets of data inside something. And you don't have to say employee. You could actually say row. I mean, you can put row 1. There's no harm in that. Then you would have to close this with row 1. There's no harm.
So anything can be written over there, right?
Correct.
Rather than
When it's
employee or
XML,
employees.
when it's XML, it's you are the developer, how you want to design it. But really, you don't have to say row 1. You could just say row because this whole thing understands that the first one is row 1. And then the second one that I'm going to copy in here is going to be row 2. Here's 1, 2. We'll leave it as row. Second, let's fill this out. And that will be last name.
What about the employees on top? Can change that? No.
You can change that too. But you want to keep it
Can change
relevant,
that?
right?
Okay.
It's good to keep it relevant though, right? Because let's say you are a developer and you're going to ship this data out. You got an employee table. It's nice if you keep the employees table with the employees open and close tag. Now, if I put my name here, Stein, sure, it's going to work. But is it going to be relevant? Is it going to be consistent to what I'm making? This Stein is going to be used in the code to break this thing apart. And when I wrote the code, I get it, but I no longer work for that company. Imagine that. Somebody new got hired and they look at this code and like, who the heck is Stein? What is he trying to do? It's going to be very confusing for another developer to even fix that code if there's anything broken. But if this is like employee, they're like, oh, you're getting this employee's data from that website. That's what you're trying to read to see if what their salary is and stuff like that. Oh, I get it. Okay, got it. This row would
So
make sense. If you had a row and row and row of data, sure, it would make sense. If you have it as employee as singular, even better.
so Stein,
Mhm.
the first line where you wrote employees, will it go to the header of the table?
It will. But this doesn't automatically go as a header. Excuse me. So this is not going to be automatically going as a header. You have to use the Java code to say, hey, go to this JSON, take the first tag, and display it over there as a table header. Make sense? There's probably like 20 lines of code you have to write to make that happen. It doesn't happen automatically. So let me go ahead and fix this part right here. Those are good questions. Very good questions. So feel free to keep it coming, guys. So I'm just doing the housekeeping of finishing this up. Age right here, formality, age. And I need to change this to bond. Notice I can do capitalized right here, but I can't do capitalization here because those are not text. Those are not data. Data goes inside. And this is 55. And this is salary is 100,000. And this is, excuse me, salary. We're going to check to see if what I wrote is correct or not shortly. There's a website that developers use to check their work. Just like I'm doing, they make mistakes too. Because it's tedious. It's not so easy to read. Now I'm going to just copy these names. Tony, Dark, 45, 85,000. And then copy this whole thing again. And last person, Jane Doe, 65, 95,000. And there you have it. All right. I can take this code and let's say I wrote it. I'm like, did I make any mistake right here? Was there anything that I missed? Is it gonna work or not? First thing that the developers can do before they ask you to test it, they could copy this and go to Google. They probably have it bookmarked. XML, let me try this. There's a site called XML to JSON. JSON converter. And I like this one. There's a lot. If you scroll up and down, you're going to find a whole bunch. This one, this one, this one. Any one of them work. Not all of them work nice and beautiful, but there's one that's called JSONformatter.org. So use that. I see a lot of them use this. Click open, and you have something like this. This is if you wanted to convert, it does both. You can put your XML right here. Okay, you can put in your XML and then click on this button, XML to JSON, and it's going to convert it here as a JSON for you. How beautiful is that? That's part of your homework, by the way. Or you could do vice versa. You just have to shift it up or just type in JSON to XML, and then it will give you another web link, and you can do the both. Thing is, if I have my XML done correctly, only then it's going to convert it to JSON. So if I put my XML here and it gives me a JSON, that tells me I got my XML correct. If it doesn't, that means it's going to tell me some errors. Hopefully right here, I don't know if things changed. Let's see. So I'll copy this. Copy that. Bring it over here. Paste it. I didn't even have to hit the button anywhere. Immediately it brought this data in JSON format, notice right here. But if I made a mistake, let's say I forgot to put this closing tag here. Let's see what happens. Oh, notice it already tells me with this X mark right there that there is a problem. There's a problem. Question? Can you all hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay. Notice, even though I messed up on this line, why is it telling me I got a problem on line number 13? And I didn't mess up anything on line 20. Why is that telling me that I got a problem there? It's kind of like a murder scene, all right? You're like a detective. You go to a murder scene and you're like, did the murder really take place here? Or did it take place somewhere else and they dragged the body and put it down here? You're going to notice this weird thing about testing is that sometimes the test may fail one or two steps before where the failure is. Okay, or aside from it. So whenever you see this failure come up on line number 13, if you don't find any issue, look for the very next one, see if you find an issue. If you don't, look for the very previous one and then see if you find an issue. Don't jump to the next murder. Always solve the first murder case first because there could be a serial killer and this could be the same criminal. So if you catch the criminal right here, you actually caught the same criminal there. So I don't really know why this is popping up, but you should not be worried about that. You should always go to the first murder scene right there. And you sniff around, you see there's no problem here. And then you go to the next one, you're like, oh, I forgot the forward slash. Let me go ahead and fix that and see who I catch, if I catch the criminal. So I'll go in here, put the forward slash, and it's gone. Both of them are gone. Okay, it was the same criminal who did that. And then hit the JSON, XML to JSON again, make sure it's working up right here. What if I had a mistake and click on this XML to JSON? Look, I get something like this. Null, because it's not able to read it. One tiny mistake, not able to read it. And you have to fix that. So that was the table to XML conversion. Any question before we move to JSON conversion? A pop quiz for everybody, just a warm up. Who can tell me what the answer to this is? By the way, this is Java. Take your time.
So is it 85,000 or something like that?
You guys agree?
Yes, 85.
Correct. That employees is that right there. Employee number 2, this is number 1. This is number 2. This is number 3. There's that number 2. And you're specifically looking for salary. And salary for number 2 is that. And therefore, the answer is 85,000. In the Java class, this is what you're going to learn. We use this dot format to break down these pieces, and then we get to the data of what we want. Now let's do this one. This is a table, and we're going to convert this into a JSON format and see how that one looks like and how we write this. Your homework is going to be exact with a different kind of table, different table data. Okay. So who remembers what type of braces do we use, brackets do we use for JSON?
Early braces.
Curly braces, correct. So there are three types of brackets that we have seen. One is called parentheses. You may have seen it in school, your kids' schools, they learn parentheses, or we call it brackets, or first bracket or something like that. And these, right out on top of the enter button, you will see these brackets. You have to press the shift button to get those. These are called curly braces. Curly braces or brackets. Curly brackets, I don't mind, whatever you want to say. Any one of those works. And then these are called square brackets or braces. Okay. So we'll be using just the curly and the square ones and not these parentheses. So don't use that.
So the first one sometimes called curved bracket.
Curved bracket, okay. That's a good
Yeah.
one. I like that term. I like that term, it's great. Okay, so now we got this table, we're going to convert it into JSON. Very first thing before you do anything, you have to put these two curly braces. This is your opening tag and closing tag in your, just like the HTML you did. That's your opening tag, closing tag. The beauty is you don't have to put a name here. No name needed, so you have to write less. Now hit an enter, and we're making a sandwich. Here's your bread number one slice, and it's the second slice, and all the meat stuff is gonna go in the center. You hit a tab, bring it forward a little bit, make it look nice. Okay. Now in here, you have to name this employees so that when you write the code to decode it, you can easily figure it out. You can use these words. Every word has to go in double quotes. So I'm going to have to write employees, and you can have capitalized, lowercase, it's up to you. Employees, but these are case sensitive. So if you have it as uppercase here, your code has lowercase, that's going to be a big problem. Your code won't be able to read it. And I don't have one information. If I had a single data for employee, I would put a colon and put quotation and have the data right here. But unfortunately, employees is a list of data. Because employees is a list of data, therefore, I have to use this square bracket to specify a list of data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this because employee does not have one value. Always remember name, colon, value. Okay, so the syntax is name, colon, and value of that. Sometimes this is called field name, but I just want to leave it as name, as simple as possible. Because employees doesn't have one single value, but it has three different ones: James, Tony, Jane. Therefore, I'm going to delete this and say, hey, I got three things coming, so give me the square bracket. Whenever you have more than one, you use square bracket. That means you're going to create another sandwich. There you go. Okay. You got another sandwich. Inside this sandwich, you're going to have three sandwiches. You got one for James, one for Tony, one for Jane. And those sandwiches, again, will go inside curly braces. Like that. With me so far? Inside this one curly brace, I open it up, that becomes a sandwich. And inside that one, now I can say first name. I'll just write all lowercase. Doesn't really matter how you write it. But if you write lowercase, developer has to use lowercase. And over here, I'm going to say first name is James. And then you go use a little space right here, makes it look nice. Because I got another one in the data, I'm going to put a comma. And in here, I'm going to say last name colon Bond. Because I got another one, I'm going to put a comma, just like English grammar. Age, keeping it consistent, all lowercase to make things easy. 55, I am going to put a comma, come back again and say, I got salary 100,000. And no more comma because I don't have any more. That's my one sandwich. But I got another sandwich. But I just did this guy right here. Now I got another sandwich right here in that list. Therefore, I am going to put a comma right here and come back down here. And I'm just going to copy this sandwich. I'm not going to copy the comma. Well, I could because I got the third one coming. But for now, I'll just copy this much. Bring my cursor here and paste it here. This time, these will stay the same. I just changed Tony. You're probably noticing already that I have to write less compared to the XML. 45, this is faster. I can write this faster. And that's the whole point of JSON. And there's my last one. And guys, I probably took like 30 minutes to write this, but you understand, but I'm teaching you, that's why I'm going slow. But if this was my job, I would have done it in like maybe 10 minutes or 15. Wouldn't be that fast, don't think. I don't think. So there's that comma. Bring the next one, last one. And this would be Jane Doe 65 and 95,000. All right. I could bring this down here if I wanted to save some space. I could bring this whole thing backward a little bit if I wanted to, but doesn't really matter. As long as you have this data with every last bit, meaning you have this first one and that first one ends with the last one. This one ends with this one. This one ends with this one, has a comma. As long as you follow this rule and pattern, it's going to work fine. You're not going to have any issues. But you miss something, it's going to have a problem.
So should it be like the square bracket? It should be in the same row. Curved bracket should be in the same row or something like that.
Yes. Meaning the sequence does matter.
Okay, so if I put the square bracket not in the same row for the same statement, what will happen?
So let's say you switch this one with this one, and you got
No,
this
no,
one
no,
here.
no. No, actually, I'm not saying that. So
So
that
if you use square bracket here and square bracket here.
no, I'm saying that if the curly bracket goes to the front tab rather than the tab where it is now, you backspace the tab.
So if I backspace this tab, is that going to be a problem?
Yes.
No, it's not going to be a problem.
Okay.
And in fact, you can squeeze this like this. Totally okay. I can squeeze this whole thing like that in maybe 4 lines, like a paragraph. And I can still take this, copy it, go to that site. This time I'm going to say JSON to XML converter. Look for that jsonformatter.org website. Since that's the best. It gives me this option. Notice this time the button got changed from JSON to XML instead. I paste it right here. Immediately after I paste it, look what happened. It gave me this. Let's make a mistake. I forgot the comma. So I'm going to take this comma out right here. And if I do that and hit JSON to XML, it's not throwing an error. I don't know why. It should throw an error. Let me mess up more. Okay, this one doesn't show that error. I don't know, but it should. There's another website. It's called JSON Prettify. JSON Pretty. So let's see, jsonformatter.org and Pretty Print. So if I take my messy JSON, this one, super mess, copy it, put it right here, paste it, look what happened. It put it in nice, beautiful little order for me. I can easily read this compared to what a mess right here. I could mess it up more. As long as I don't delete any of the symbols, it will work fine. But what if, let me refresh this. What if I mess up comma and a bracket? Make pretty, look, it gives me an error. Look at this. If I read this error, it says parse error on line 3. Okay, parse error on line 3. Here's line 3. I don't see any problem in here. So I'm looking, then what if line 4 has a problem? I see, oh, I forgot to put my curly brace right here and put a comma for that other curly brace to start. There cannot be 2 curly braces side by side without a comma. And I'm missing that. So you can fix that. And see, it's telling you expecting something. Obviously, it's not a really nice way to tell you that. There's no good way to tell you, but it is telling expecting. Could be this, could be comma, could be something else, blah, 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 giving you hint, hint, hint. So I'm going to go in here, put that curly brace, and I'm like, bring the tab to make it look okay. And 2 curly braces side by side. No, I got to have a comma to separate them. There you go. Hit a comma, and then I click on make pretty. Voila. Got it. Now I got no problem. So developers do this all the time. They come in here, they put it in here, make pretty. Okay, looks good. Then they would copy this down, baby, copy this baby. And guess what? Now if you copy this baby and you paste it right here, it's going to look pretty too. Right there. Far better than I wrote. And they would use that in their coding. That's it, guys. That's all I got. I just have to explain the homework to you. Any questions before I move to homework explanation and be done for the day?
One question, that is, does actually anyone use both the XML or JSON, or they just use only one language?
I am so glad you brought that up because I forgot to tell you guys that this is what everybody wants now. And that's JSON. So because JSON you saw is easier, and yeah, it's too many symbols, of course. Are you gonna make a mistake? Of course. For human to make a mistake is of course. But which method, which data transportation method is preferred? And that's the answer is JSON. Why? JSON over XML. Because it's lightweight. Lightweight means you have to write less. That's all I see, guys, and that's it. Because both of them have other things. Both of them do the same thing: transport data from one place to another. You read the data through Java. You can read the data through Java from here as well. But this one you have to write less, and that's why you're gonna see. You're not gonna find XML. I just taught you XML. Forget about XML. But this is what you're gonna see, guys. You are gonna see one XML file when you get to Selenium. You're gonna see there is a file called pom.xml. Pom.xml. That's always been done in XML, and there's nothing we can do to change that. But when you get to automation, you're also going to see a file called user.json. These dot extension, by the way, it's the same principle as the image that you saw yesterday that we saved. What was that? Volkswagen image.jpg. Same idea. Anytime you have a dot and then these code right here or shortcut, that tells what type of file that's going to be or how it's going to behave. If it's a JPG, it's going to display an image. If it's a user.json, it's going to have a JSON file like this. It's going to have JSON information in it like this. And how you are going to be using it. As a matter of fact, you are going to have a file called user.json, and this is where you're going to have your fake users. You're going to have fake user called, you're going to have something like this. Username. This is how you're going to log in. Username, fake, demo user, suppose. And you're going to have a name called password, and everybody is going to have the same password called password 1. Or you could have the password ABC 123. All of this is going to be stored inside a file called user.json, and it's going to have it like this, and you're going to write code to get this user. Whenever you need this user, you get that. You might have another user called Tony Stark, and you use that. Or some other pages, you test it with Jane Doe, and then you get that. And you could actually have 20 users right here. Right now, we have about 20 users in that file in our company. And for certain things, we test with certain user. Why? We'll talk about more on that in Selenium class. Any questions? Any other?
Yeah. So this language is for the development or testing?
This is also for development, also for testing, test automation.
Okay. So I have another one question.
Mhm.
If the developer write in different format and we go for testing with this format, then will it work or not?
Now, you are going to code that way. So let's say if the developer has XML, then you can write Java code to read the XML data and then use the user here to input it into the username field. Same thing that you would do for JSON. It's a little bit different for XML, but that's about it. It's not going to be difficult for you. It's more of a question of what the developers want to do. From your side as a tester, you really don't care. Because either way, you have to write code to read this. Read that. And then get that data for me. You're going to have to write those code to get that data. Either it's XML or JSON. It's not going to change how much work that you have to do. But whoever writes this, it's going to be the work on their end. Now, on that user.json file, when you go starting working for a company, that file is already going to be there with the usernames. When you sign up the job and you go ask your team manager, where is this file? Or you can look through the project and then find it. I'll show you when we get to that class how to find it. And then you can even ask them, hey, do you have a method to get that? And they will tell you, yeah, use this method, get username. If you type in get username, it will get you that username. That means somebody already wrote a code for that and everybody can use it.
So
Right?
that
You don't
means
even have to write any code. You're just like, hey, Lupe, you ask them a question like this. How do I get username from user.json? I see some user there and I want to use that first user. How do I get it? Lupe says his answer is like, uh, just use get user name. And then in the bracket right here, write demo. And that is going to give you demo user with password ABC123. I don't want to go any deeper than this because I have a whole class set up to teach you how to do this in one of those weeks when we do Java Selenium.
so that means that whatever the language developer used to develop the program, we don't need to bother for that. We can use this program to test that. Is it?
Correct. Understand this, that you got this website. And by the way, your level of coding is very close to it's going to be what developers do, but so much simpler than what they do. Here's a website, Priceline or Yahoo. Two things going on. Here's the developer. Developer is writing this messy code programming language to display this website. Here's UQA. You are actually writing messy code as well. But your code is much simpler. Maybe like the developer's code is like 20, 30 times harder. Yours is going to be so simple. I'll show you so easy ways. Human readable code that you're going to write. And you're going to copy paste. You don't have to memorize or anything. You just see like, oh, I got this one. I can copy paste it here. And this works there. Simple. You are actually writing code to go in here, test this website. Both of you, both your developer is using same Java, could be using Java, you are also using Java. The developer is using a software, same software you are using, which I will download it for you for free. Everything is online now, free. You don't have to buy anything. But knowledge is also free, but it's all over the place and it's not organized. And that's why I'm here for. is I'm going to pack it, give it to you the way you need it, and go out there and get that job. Be able to produce something on the first day that with minimum training, you can blend in with your team and never look back and become an engineer that you always hoped for. People spend many thousands of dollars in university and hours and hours and years of time to learn things, pull their hair out, go through all those classes that physically have to go there. And oh my God, I've been there, done that. Not in this field. My major was finance, but it's hard. The 4 months of this project of what you're getting right now, it's unbelievable. Each class is like a course of a semester of course. That's why I say try not to miss any class. Okay. All right. Let me explain the homework to you. The homework is also going to be due same next weekend. So you guys have the whole week to do this. And if you go to this XML page right here, this is from the previous video. You can watch this. I'm not going to add today's video in here. Previous video goes over the same thing. So if you need to do that, go ahead and watch that. Refresh. And I don't have a homework section here. I will post notes here. Sorry, I didn't know how I missed that. So give me 1 second. Let me open up the homework for everybody. Due date is going to be, here's the homework, by the way. Due date, let's call it 30th, next Sunday. Assign it to all students and assign. Now you should be able to see it. And you go in here, you say view assignment, you'd open it up. Yours, you have to click on view assignment. If I click, I see it as a teacher. So you will see this file right here. This document is going to open up. Open up that document and complete this document and turn this document into me with the turn in button. If you don't have one in here, what you do is you change the name right here of your name. You put it as your name, you save it. And it's going to show up on your Google Drive. Check where that file is and then attach that file. That will be one way. The other way, if that's too complicated for you, then just copy your answer and paste it into the assignment doc. Create a Google Doc, paste it in there, and then hit turn in. If all fails, don't worry about it. This is not for grade. It's just for me to see if you've done it or not. So if you fail to submit, don't worry about it either. What is the homework? I got you the same thing that I did. I have you a cars table right here. And I also gave you this instruction here. Convert the following table into XML and JSON. There is that jsonformatter.org where you can go and check to see if you got it right. It's just a quick link for you. And turn your assignment into Google Classroom. So what you do is you read this and you go down here and you write your JSON in here or XML. So you start doing this. You say cars. With that cars, you get the picture. I'm not going to do it for you. And then you go to JSON formatter and check to see if you got it right. Do your XML. Go to the JSON formatter, see if you got it right. Now here's one way you can cheat, and I'll just tell you straight. You can create a XML for this, let's say, and you can go to JSON formatter website and say convert it from XML to JSON, and you can get that JSON and copy that JSON back on this here and then submit this. Guess what? You didn't have to write the JSON blindfolded. You just copied it. And you can cheat that way. But if you do that, you just cheated with yourself, because what I wanted you to do is I wanted you to actually write it with a little bit of notes on the side and then test yourself to see, hey, how good am I? Am I able to focus and pay attention to those commas and brackets and stuff, and then write it so well that first try I put it into the website, pass. Check that yourself. Don't miss out from that opportunity to do that. The second thing is, okay, I wrote the JSON, I put it on the site of pretty JSON, and I got error, but it tells me where. Let me see if I can read that and fix that error. And if you're able to fix that error, got it. You have no idea what you just did by doing that. If you have that experience of doing this, oh my God, that's like a year's worth of experience. So if you go through that pain in the neck and you try to read their error message and fix it and get out of it, this is an experience I want you to live through this. If you live this experience, you just gave yourself 1 year of work experience. So don't miss that either. Okay? Any questions before we end the class today? All right, guys. Thank you so much for your patience. Have a wonderful rest of the weekend and keep up the good work. I'll see you next Saturday. If you have any questions, feel free to text or call me on my phone. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank
You
you.
too. Bye-bye.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Very good.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.